Yeah.
Rolling with it. Z Nation, we're back to another Daily Xander podcast. This marks Daily Xander 265. I am again with my good buddy, his second appearance now on the podcast, Mr. Jesse, a.k.a. the Walker lookalike brother
of
Alex.
Gosh.
Oh.
Yes.
Jesse.
I could usurp the Xander Nation without them knowing.
That's
maybe.
So
What? Do we look that much alike?
From a distance, I mean,
yeah.
I feel like...
Like, if I did, like, a really low-quality podcast, they could think it's...
Well, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
We could try it. We can make this one blurry.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. But Jesse and his wife, Kim, first off, a little bit about Jesse. He's a business owner of... Well, I don't want to, tell the story. I mean, I can keep going. But yeah. He's a business owner. He's an affiliate owner of Training with Warriors, which is a worldwide organization that has a certain type of fitness philosophy. And he emulates that, but he also puts his own spin on it. But he has his own gym in Lake Mary, which is just out like a suburb, essentially, of Orlando. Anyways, him and Kim are going this weekend to I don't want to call it a seminar, it's more of a focus group. Or a focus group
seminar, conference. It's the annual conference, annual summit.
Yeah, and summit, that's where
it's like everyone who is an affiliate is going to be there. Yeah. Well, if they want to be there.
That's true. And it
so I
seems
think there's probably 150 people there.
Yeah, from all over the world kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely
Belgium, Australia, Canada.
Yeah.
I think the guy from Kuwait is coming.
Guy from Kuwait, Middle East.
Iceland.
There's a guy from Iceland?
Yeah.
I don't remember you telling me that. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Reykjavik, how do you say it?
Reykjavik.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
TFW Reykjavik.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, it'd be cool because I think further down the line.
I think.
That's true.
I know they're definitely all over Finland. No, I think there's one in Iceland. Yeah. We can look it up.
I believe it though. It's just Iceland. There's only like 300,000 people, but they seem like they're pretty fitness crazy.
Oh really?
To a degree, yeah.
So the Scandinavians, you know.
Yeah. Why is that?
Norwegians.
Like yeah.
Well, they're very health
conscious.
Yeah.
Well, first off, they have like a lot of very strong, built like strongmen or whatever. Like a lot of strongman competitions.
Yeah.
They always come from like the Nordic countries.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to use like CrossFit as my go-to for my theory here, but like a lot of CrossFit competitors.
Yeah.
And Thor's daughter. I'm sure there's more. I don't really follow CrossFit close or anything, but just kind of those elite athletes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The Nordic country. So I wonder if it also speaks to like the part of the world you're in where it's more harsher conditions. You're probably going to be more like a lot of times like a tougher individual because of
I like it. Yeah. Well, man, now we're getting on an interesting topic. If you look at just like the globe, and if you look at people's genetics that come from like what's the word? The equator.
The equator.
Equatorial areas
yeah.
Versus people that were like maybe in the northern hemisphere. So if you look at Europe, I think one of the theories why like a lot of the European countries like developed like Mediterranean and like that whole Germanic area developed was because of the way their season is set up. They kind of like 4 seasons, and they were able to like grow crops, harvest it, and then like develop this whole system of division of labor or labor specialization. I forget the term, but it's basically where like instead of one guy and like his wife doing everything, it's like one guy makes farm tools, one guy does farming, one guy is like a judge or something that people got like specific jobs, and that's how like towns started. Well, I think it had to do with their geography, and that's where then they started like researching and like figuring out how to like be smarter and like I mean years and years and years go by. But I think there's definitely a trend. If you look at countries that are very developed today, a lot of the European countries, they just have like a rich history of like research. But I think it got to a point where they could have some people researching and some people working. Whereas if you look at a lot of countries with different geography, it's like everyone had to like, I don't know why, I think that's the $1 million question, but more like there wasn't that division of labor. Right. Kind of interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because like the division of labor allowed for like downtime for people to do more research, and that research is so important as far as to continually
figuring out math, linguistics, logic.
Yeah, because that all falls under the umbrella of like making everything more efficient.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
efficient, runs better, and you can expand and such like
Yeah.
that. So that's interesting.
Really
How you took like what I said, like, yeah, that's part of the world. Like,
Well, no, it's
people-
definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
One, I mean, yeah, and then too, like if you just look at people, like a lot of, if you look at just like the genetics of, let's say like people in Africa, where it's like, you know, maybe more physical and more physically demanding, like their body reflects that. Especially in today's society, even still, I mean, people in Africa are extremely lean.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at like, especially like the Western world, Europe, America, it's like people are like pale and like chubby, you know, and there's definitely a connection.
Yeah.
You know, less sunlight, the skin doesn't need to be as pigmented to block it, you know, their bones don't need to be as dense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. It certainly speaks volumes as far as like how you look as a human being. You can definitely tell. First off, where exactly are you from? Second off, probably what do you do what occupies most of your time? Well, in the case in Western society, most people occupy their time by doing some type of activity that involves sitting. Not that this podcast involves sitting.
Well, yeah, we're sitting.
Yeah.
Dude, we should do one where we're just like in a deep squat the whole time. Just like a 10-minute.
Oh, a 15-minute. Yeah,
a
I like that.
15-minute. I've never done 15 minutes.
Right.
Have you?
I don't have the dorsiflexion.
Dude, the dorsiflexion is a necessity. We'll stretch our
I like
calves
this
before.
idea though. I like this.
Yeah,
idea.
we should do one.
I think every podcast we do together, it should always have like
different.
some type of different theme, or at least different location. Cause I like that.
Because
then it brings about. I feel like you would have different ideas, or just like when you're in a different environment, it just you get to think differently. So if we're in different positions and stuff.
We'll just probably be trying not to complain. Maybe that's what I'll be doing.
I think we won't even realize it. Like just by us talking and videoing ourselves right now, like we're not really super aware of time.
Huh.
Like I feel like in this 15 minutes, like I feel like it'd be actually in my head. It feels longer than. Like,
we're already 7 minutes in.
Oh dang! I just looked at the camera. It was like 3
I
and a
know.
half. And,
I know. Well, I was gonna say another thing that I thought of that is really cool about people's bodies and skin tones being different. Like, man, it's so cool. Like, and even if you look at like got back to the equilateral thing, like, man, you have South America, you have Mexico, you know, Brazil, you have Africa, you have like Asia, and like huge percentages of populations that are in that equator zone. And man, they all have like dark skin, but it's like different. Like you can the difference in skin from like an Indian person to an African person to like a Vietnamese person, it's like still different. I don't know if you call it hues or something, shades. Yeah,
and there's
but it's just
features too.
Yeah, and you know their faces are structured differently, their bodies, their type of hair and stuff. Man, but it's just it's like so neat that there is that variation and that it's varied for a reason because it like matches that environment.
Yeah.
But to take it even a step further, what I think is so cool is that we still have those differences, but like they don't matter because like nowadays with our culture, like you can kind of survive if you have light skin or dark skin, like under the sun. Like you can wear sunscreen, you can wear, you know, a long sleeve shirt, or like, you know, maybe like we talked about the African person that's like lean and like very physical. Well, they don't necessarily like have to be today. So it's just kind of interesting, I think, in our society, like we have all those differences, but it's almost like they're not like you can still survive without them. It's just very interesting. But like we have them if we needed them.
That's a good point. I wonder if like further down the line we'll actually lose it in a sense, just because how we're so advanced right now. Like
and just turn into like an albino. Or just like a conglomerate, like one skin tone.
Yeah.
Well, I did hear this theory that people with blonde hair and blue eyes, like us, are like it's only like so long, and because of crossbreeding.
Yeah, crossbreeding.
Is that the right word? Interracial breeding.
Yeah.
That because it's not a recessive gene, and that the darker tones are a more dominant gene, that they'll just eventually get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know. Yeah, because I know, like with the U.S. or whatever, like Caucasians been like I don't know when like the time frame is, but like it'll soon be like the minority kind of thing.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And,
like,
but then eventually there will be like
100,000
years from now, if everyone, it's like if it's recessive like every single time, like if there's more people with the dominant trait, it's just a matter of law. Like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
There will be like a last. person where with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah.
Unless all the blonde hair, blue eyed people marry each other and just only have. But then that's like kind of weird.
It depends where you're at. Like
it's like an Aryan philosophy. Anyway, it's kind of hard to like not come across as racist talking about different ethnicities.
I think it's one of those things like, you know how like people be like, oh, you made it so awkward. That's because when you say something that's awkward and then you feel like it's awkward, then it's awkward.
That
like,
observation.
But if you do like, if you just talk about races and then like all of a sudden you follow up with like, oh, that seems kind of racist. Like whether it's like you just like you just kind of continue to talk about it and you're not like, oh, we're just talking about it, like the way we see it kind of thing. Like and we're not trying to be racist by anything. We're just.
You know what an interesting thing too is I feel like, you know, I would definitely say, well, actually I don't know if I would agree. Like it seems like the world is becoming more like liberal, like more like, oh, it's okay that you are the way you are. But then I almost feel like in some ways, like if you have an opinion about something, if it's different than like a liberal ideal, it's like not acceptable. Do you feel what I'm saying on that? And that's just kind of something, because I think I've become more of a liberal, like accepting person, and but then in some ways I'm like scared to talk about like a view I have on like a certain political issue or something. And so sometimes like that is kind of interesting.
What you were saying. My mindset with that is like I just whenever you attach like in my mind, because I never like label like what I am. I just always think of it like, I'm just open minded. I just always want to do what's most rational.
I definitely see that.
Because like. At least in my head, when you say like liberal, then it, like you just like have all these ideas attached to it, and then it's almost like, well, I have to conform into these ideas.
These other ideas,
and then it's like, wow, so I have to follow a blueprint of that? No, like, because a lot of times, like most things are not black.
Dude, amen to that. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Like,
yeah, because you might agree with one like piece of the puzzle, but not necessarily like everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's so true, man. Like. For people in like maybe a political party or just a mindset, like this is a perspective I have that this other group of people have, and that perspective is labeled as this. Well, it's probably not personalized for like your exact perspective, or maybe not all the contents of the perspective is.
Yeah.
And man, I think we have to be like courageous enough to be like, yeah, I'm okay with being different. Like I'm okay with having a different view or seeing something differently.
Yeah, because that's so. Like by not admitting that, you're just holding yourself and you're refraining yourself back from like so many moments where you're just like, well, I don't really agree with it, but I'm not going to say anything, and it's just going to continue to build up, and it'll just make the whole situation so much worse.
Dude, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's what I kind of noticed. Like at least in politics and stuff, a lot of times people take like a team mentality. Like it's always like in the U.S. It's always like it's Democrats versus Republicans a lot of times, and I don't even like how does that even like still operate in today's world?
Dude, that's a great question. Wow.
Like we gotta beat them kind of thing, and then it doesn't really matter even like
never matters
why we're beating them or whatever.
Yeah, it never.
It's all very.
Because even the Republican or the Democrat, whoever you elect, you're in that party maybe, but maybe you wanted a different candidate to win, and you know it's just kind of like interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I guess what I'm saying is even within one party. Well, not even just politically, but just in anything, there's like a whole spectrum within that.
Yeah. So like a minute and a half left, but like to continue on that idea, like I don't know if you're doing in one of those things online where you like fill out like all these things you believe in, and then it like puts you as far as like on the political scale, like, oh, you're closer to this party, you're closer to that party.
Wow.
And then I don't know, whenever I've done that, I'm always like, yeah, but I think at the end of the day, I'm just a human being that wants that just wants to put out good value, and I just want other people to stand for good values. That's all. That's all I want.
No, I think that's good, man. Because then you can't get riled up about like the wrong things maybe that you don't actually side with. I think that's good. Yeah.
All right, we're at less than a minute.
Less than a minute.
It's been a pleasure. This is what 15-minute podcast is all about.
Man,
genuine, authentic, in the moment. It goes by darn fast because I looked at the camera, it was 3 minutes, and Jesse's like, oh, it's 7 minutes right now. But T's awesome host as always. Love it. Continual collabs for sure. Last 20 seconds for your thoughts.
Well, I would say, man, be okay with being open-minded, and then be okay with what you have in your mind. You know, be okay with saying like, oh no, I don't believe that, or that's not what I'm saying. You know, I think sometimes we need to clarify ourselves, and we don't maybe because we're scared to like maybe confront or speak up. But man, we should be okay with that. We should be okay with being understood. Yeah.
Being understood. Love it. Peace, love, unity, respect.
Dude,
Catch you
15
next
minutes.
time. He nailed it.
Peace, love, respect.
We out. I was gonna say,
Dude, that was a good catch.
Oh, nice, dude. Dude, I always appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man.
It's great. Dude, that was a fun one.
Dude, see, that's what I like. I honestly don't like to have a plan a lot of times because like we look back at the conversation